We are going everywhere this weekend. We've got 4 meetings, a race of 4 meetings to look forward to, all on the flat. We've got the team event at Ascot, the Shergar Cup. We've got a Betfred-sponsored card at Haydock to look forward to. Group action with the Sweet Solera at Newmarket, and Group 1 action and some cracking racing over at the Curragh. The usual team has joined me. It's going to be a whirlwind tour, Jason Weaver, over the next half an hour or so.
Yeah, and you're probably going to struggle to find myself and Frankie because we both got the memo. We got the Where's Wally tops on, haven't we? The pair of us. So, yeah, it's one of those. But we're ready for the weekend. And as you said, there's a little bit of everything. And I love that international flavour at the Shergar Cup. It's a bit different. It's one day. There'll be a massive turnout. And, yeah, looking forward to it.
I feel like barcodes. Yeah, I didn't get the memo. I didn't put my stripes on, Frankie, although obviously you were with me on Sunday when I looked very, very different.
Yes, you did. Stepped up in trip would be the trainer's note after Matt's run in the charity race at Chester on the Rudy. Plugging on and managed to stick out the furlong, but definitely not one for pace. It was good fun, wasn't it, that?
It was good fun. It was good fun. Yes, very interesting week. Busy week last week, but let's try and find some winners. Lots of racing to look forward to. We're just going to start on the Betfred sponsored card at Haydock. The first race isn't a Betfred sponsored contest. It is the Dick Hearn Stakes for the fillies and mares over a mile. We've got 9 set to go to post, and a big range here. Jace, got some lightly raced 3-year-olds and some 4-year-olds with a little bit to prove.
Yeah, I suppose Ollie Sangster, he was sort of dealt a little bit of a blow when Shawari got injured and had to take a good bit of time off, and probably was his breakthrough runner, if you like, and was destined for a big success up at the top level. This is just a stepping stone, really. I would imagine things have not gone great. What was it? About 130 days ago, we saw her at Kempton. She only ran adequately on that occasion. That was off a long layoff. They've been super, super patient with her. And I would imagine she is still the class angle in here. You know, a little bit of back class against some really, really top class mares. The one that is probably overpriced is Queen's Reign, just because Ed Walker and the team are in such good form, but you would need the dead 8 to go to post. But yeah, Shawari, it's an easy sort of pick for her. She is the class angle.
Yeah, JP Spencer on board as well. Frankie, do you agree?
I think so. I think you've got to kind of take your chance here on the basis that if you let it run at, around 3-1 and she goes and wins with, as much in hand as her rating suggests, she's £8 clear of the field and or £6 clear of the field, including some fall, but a good way clear on ratings than most. And if she does perform to her best, then she should really be winning this. And that's, the fact that she has had an interrupted career is obviously factored into her price, but it's one of those, I think you hedge on the side of optimism one more time and think that her class does get her through. I've got to give a shout to Protest, who I put up at Glorious, and she certainly is progressing. I did actually really like the way she hit the line. I thought it looked like it took a while for the penny to drop with her, and she actually only got into top gear in the real closing stages of the race. So she's definitely progressive for Roger Varian, but yeah, I kind of feel like you'd really struggle to let Shawari run at the price she is.
Yeah, Protest was interesting. The penny did drop, and I think we were all on, weren't we? A Goodwood, a nice winner there, but can she overcome Shawari? That's the Dick Hearn Stakes. Let's look at the Betfred Rose of Lancaster then at 3:00. Key, as we always say, Jason, is the dead 8 going to post for each way betting. So 8 runners then, 2 for Juddmonte, 2 for Godolphin, 2 for Wathnan.
Yeah, good turnout, isn't it? And, some proper horses in here. Hartem's one of those who's danced every dance. He's just super, super tough, and one of those that you'd like on your side in a battle. Military Order, a little bit disappointing last time at Ascot. He's going to need to step up significantly. And the 2 towards the top of the market, Detain, is also on a bit of a recovery mission after a poor run last time. Russell Ryan is going to get the leg up on him. And where on earth did Royal Dubai come from at Newbury? First run for Owen Burrows, having been with Marco Botti, had been chopping and changing around. But that is no fluke, and it's red hot form, isn't it? Beating Rashabar, Enfajar, all of those type of horses. And just when one has got its nose in front for Owen Burrows, that team are red hot at the moment. So he's He's the strike rate king. So Royal Dubai for me.
Okay, Royal Dubai for Jason. Frankie, where do you go for the Betfred Rose of Lancaster?
I'm nodding along, yeah. I do think Hartem does deserve his shout. I would say that although he wouldn't have beaten Never So Brave last time out, he maybe had the slight misfortune of when those two got into a battle, almost running into the back of the lead horse. I can't remember who it was on the day. So didn't have quite as clear a path as Never So Brave on the day, albeit he probably still wouldn't have gone past him. So I think you could mark that up slightly, and he's back up to 10 furlongs, which is where he won last. So he does deserve a shout, but I'm on the same sort of thought trail as Jace with Royal Dubai. He was really impressive beating Rashabar. And when you do get a horse put in a big performance for a new trainer, sometimes it's just a switch of routine. It can be a change of anything, training methods, the feed that they get into them, whatever it might be. I do like to keep on side with the horse until they're beaten or reach their level when they have shifted yards, because he's put in a big performance. We know he's got some class, and there's no reason why he can't actually be on a bit of an upward trajectory in his new home. So Royal Dubai for me looks like the one to beat. Do
you want to get a room? Little Haydock love in here, going on the same line. No?
Same tops and everything, yeah, we're ready.
That's the way it's going to go, isn't it? We just need to get on the same teams for Shergar Cup, Jason. We're away.
Exactly.
Right. Well, that's where we're heading then. Let's head to Ascot then. Let's talk about the Shergar Cup Dash. Right. I'm going to mix it up and ask Frankie this time. So ask you first, see if you agree here. The Shergar Cup Dash then, what are you thinking for Ascot's opener?
Yeah, this is a nice little race, isn't it? Vintage Clarets. I think he gets more mentions than most horses. He's always in the mixer, but hasn't won for a very long time, although he is back down to, I think, just £1 above his last winning mark. And I think you do have to take jockeys into account on this day. Hugh Bowman is obviously a jockey with a wealth of experience. I think he's rode over 100 Group 1s and obviously most notably partnered Winks, the superstar. So he's certainly qualified for the job on board Vintage Clarets, and he is down to a workable mark. Richard Fye hasn't had the best season, I'm sure he'd admit it by his standards, but has put in a couple of winners the last couple of weeks. However, I'm going a couple down, and I'm sticking with our homebred jockeys. Holly Doyle on board Mannequin. She's so good in a sprint, isn't she? He's a dual Ascot winner, hasn't been good enough at group level, has been running in Group 1s and just not quite good enough. Does have to carry 10 stone for his class. However, if you look at when he has won in a couple of handicaps, they've been carrying 10 stone, 9 stone, 10, right at the top of the weight. So he's not a group performer, but he can do it carrying a lot of weight. And with Holly Doyle in the saddle, no better person in a 5 furlong sprint at Ascot, particularly when we're up against international jockeys that aren't used to riding here.
I'll ask that question. In fact, no, I'll ask it now because you just teed up nicely, Jason. Before we get your pick for the 135, how much of an advantage is it for the likes of Holly Doyle, Joanna Mason, who ride Ascot regularly? Because, is it a quirky track with the stiff finish? Is that a massive advantage to those that are coming over and probably seeing the track for the first time?
Well, a good percentage, as we know, is down to the horse that you're riding. But there will be one or two that'll commit for home a little bit too early or decide to delay their challenge. So getting a bit of a run on the other riders. I think, I had a good look through the cards yesterday. I think Hugh Bowman is nearly a good thing to walk away with the silver saddle. I had a look at one or two of Joanna Mason's rides as well. I think she's got a good couple of opportunities. But when you go through, Hugh Bowman could quite easily end up with 2, maybe 3 winners, and that would be enough to sort of secure the silver saddle. I'll be looking at that from a price point of view tomorrow. And he knows the track, doesn't he? He's been over here. He rides for Shannon. We'll talk about him a little bit later on the card on one of Shannon's. But for me, Vintage Clarets, Frankie was saying about him getting plenty of mentions. That's the key, isn't it? He's been knocking on the door. He would love, in an ideal world, to have a bit of a shower of rain to maybe be at his best. It was quick enough. The sun was out there yesterday. But Bowman on board, taking over from Warren Fentiman, who's a good rider, don't get me wrong, but you just can't help that bit of stronger handling on one or two of these. He's going to drop him in. He's in 9. Stalls are in the centre, but he'll be towards the stand side rail. I think they'll just go up the middle anyway, won't they? And Vintage Clarets for me. Bowman's got a bit of knowledge on the track.
Okay, that's the dash from the speedsters to the stayers then at 2:10. Again, another 10 set to go to post. No reserves here either. Most of the races got reserves, not this one. What wins the stayers contest, Jace?
Well, so it'd be an easy pick to go something like Dancing in Paris, who ran really well at Goodwood behind Sam Hawkins. I think he's bound to go well. Al Muhit is a full brother to Gruda. He's been going through the grades lovely, and he's only been given a £1 nudge for that performance last time. But Wild Waves was punted off the boards, wasn't he, 21 days ago? All right, he was put in his place by Al Humay on that occasion. What happened? He ran an absolute cracker in the Queen Alexandra. There was a report from the stewards. They said nothing. They had no reason why he ran so bad as a red-hot favourite. I think it's just a bad day at the office. Who's on board? Bowman. He comes back to a track that he runs well. Ascot. Why won't he run well? I think he's going to be overlooked in the market. Andrew Balding, 128 winners in the current campaign. He's miles ahead of anybody else.
Yeah, and he won the race last year, Andrew Baldwin. They did. I remember Wildways had a massive downpour, didn't they, right at the off there at Newbury. There was a thundery shower, so maybe that could have been put forward as a reason. I don't know. He was a little bit on the disappointing side, but I'm sure there's mitigating circumstances. Frankie, what wins the stayers?
Jason's jumped out of bed with me and into bed with Hugh Bowman, hasn't he?
Yeah, come on, Hugh. Come on, Hugh. Just like Winks all over again. You just steer him up the straight.
Well, his social media tag isn't Huge Bowman for no reason, is it?
Anyway, moving on. I mean, a couple deserve the mentions, particularly at the top of the market. Spirit Mixer was down as the Balding's Chester Cup horse, and when they note one for that race, you know that he's going to have a bit in hand, and he obviously did, going on to finish second at Goodwood and then winning the Northumberland Plate. So a progressive horse. He's up a couple of pounds again, and Dancing in Paris has form that ties in with him as well. So those two kind of deserve their spot near the top. But I want to give a crack to Melbourne Cup winning jockey and the voice singer, Robbie Dolan, on board Maglark for Adrian Keatley. He doesn't have a 2 next to his name on the Racing Post because that was over jumps up north at Market Raisin, but he is fairly consistent. He likes the good summer ground. I feel like these horses you run through the season in the summer with, they just seem to keep getting better for their racing. He's one of those sort of types. He's tough. He's an each way price, and I definitely give him a chance of running into the frame. And although Robbie Dolan didn't have a clue, he was jocked up on him. I was chatting to a couple of them yesterday and just going through their rides because they're obviously interested to know who they're riding and what they've done. He started out at Adrian Keatley's as an apprentice, so that would be quite a nice story if he managed to win on board Maglark.
That's a brilliant story, isn't it? Yeah, I think he'd ridden 5 winners over in Ireland, and he was a youngster. Led up jet setting at Ascot in the coronation after she'd won, and he led her up in the Irish 1,000 guineas. So, yeah, you're absolutely bang on with it. It'd be a lovely story.
It certainly will, yeah, high profile. I'm sure he'll be centre stage tomorrow. Let's have a look at the Shergar Cup Challenge. Go back to you, Frankie, this time at 2:45. This is over a mile and a half.
Yeah, talking about stories, it was Insanity last year, wasn't it? Her name's escaped my mind as I've said that. Rachel King, that's the Rachel I was looking for. One for Alan King, where she started out on board Insanity. Obviously comes in here again. I'm going to side with Ian Williams and the Scandinavian jockey, Per-Anders Graberg, on board Dream Harder, who was second in the race last year behind Insanity. Insanity's gone up a fair bit for his racing, whereas Dream Harder's back off the same sort of mark. And I think that's fair, or more than fair, in my opinion, considering he's been pretty consistent. He's won at Chester. He was placed at Epsom. He's danced in plenty of handicaps like this, and I think he's well within his rights to get a 1 next to his name in a contest like this. Per-Anders, I don't know loads about as a jockey, but I know he's racked up plenty of winners in Scandinavia. He's been champion jockey in Sweden and Norway, and he has ridden in the Shergar Cup before, so he knows all about this day on Saturday. So Dream Harder for Ian Williams for me.
Okay, Dream Harder then. Jason, what do you fancy in the challenge?
Oh, you know where I'm going here, don't you? It's a Haggis runner, Dramatic Star, of course. Now, Dramatic Star last year went up to Hamilton, bolted up, went to Haydock. Remember when they were all slipping on the top turn? Slipped, finished nowhere, was favourite. Turns up in the Melrose at York, red hot favourite, gets lapped. What happens? Cruelest cut of all, gelding operation. They wait for ages. He turns up at Newcastle. He goes and wins over a mile and a half. Now, just looking at the entries, Where is he hopefully going to be aimed if he's super impressive here? It's the Ebor, of course. That would be the angle in with him. He would need to take a bit of a slap off the assessor, because 101 at the moment is the top 20 for the cutoff point for a maximum field in the Ebor. So he's a long way down the ladder, but they're not all going to run. And it wouldn't be beyond the realms that he could absolutely zip in here, get a nice hefty rise off the assessor and slot in the bottom of the weights for the Ebor. Might be a long range sort of punt, if you like.
I forgot to say as well, he definitely made the shortlist, Jace, for the reason you mentioned, but also Mirao Iwata, the Japanese jockey on board, is spending his summer at Haggis's. So you'd like to think that they'd find him at least one nice ride on the day, wouldn't you?
Yeah, and he's had a couple of spins, hasn't he? Things have not gone. Yeah, it's not gone to plan as yet, but hopefully they can get a decent winner on the board. He'll stay at least this far, so I think they'll be pushing on.
Be nice instructions as a jockey, wouldn't it, if they say, we're trying to get in the Ebor, so win as far as you like and give it a good crack.
Love that.
Right, let's stick with you, Jason. Do the Shergar Cup Sprint. That's 3:20. That's the fourth race on this team event.
Yep, you remember at the July meeting, I was all over Zaire, who ran a decent third. He was a 16-1 shot on that occasion. It was his first try up over 6 furlongs. He'd been down over the minimum since he broke the course record. Still holds it as a juvenile over 5 at Ripon from last season. Thought it was a good run. This is where Joanna Mason comes into her own. And I was saying it'd be tight between her and Hugh Bowman. I think Zaire's got the ideal sort of setup. Milford in there and Holly Doyle on board. He's only been nudged up £1 for a really good effort last time. Sort of flew home from the back of the pack at Chester. But Zaire will be the each way play, because I think he's up in double digits.
Okay, yeah, he ran well. Then he got some bit of place money at the July meeting. Frankie, where are you in the sprint?
The latter that Jace mentioned, Milford, didn't quite get home over 7 at Chester when on the front end, and then over 6 coming from behind, didn't quite get there. The tight turns at Chester can play havoc depending on where you position, but 6 furlongs at Ascot. Again, it's Holly on board for Team GB in Ireland. I think he's a winner in waiting for me, Milford. He deserves to get his nose in front.
Okay, right, let's move on to the 5th race of the day then. And sadly, Jace, this one hasn't filled. Only the 8 runners in the Shergar Cup are classic, so a couple of teams missing out here.
Yeah.
There's a reason why, isn't there, Jace?
Go on.
There's only one winner.
Do you like it, or are you all over Tenability? Then
gotta be.
This is where I'm going to get the Haggis good thing on the card beaten.
Oh no!
Yes, yeah. Watch him race. Now he might well get away with the ground. He has got an extremely exaggerated galloping action. The ground was good when he managed to win around here last time, but I think that it'll be slightly quicker. That is going to be my main concern. Young 3-year-old, he's obviously got a sexy profile, and he's going to be taking the lion's share of the market. For that reason, Madawi, who goes for Charlie Johnson, and who again, Joanna Mason, he bumped into Omni Man. Omni Man, that form from the Royal Meeting, is absolutely rock solid. That was in the early part of Goodwood. He ran again, and they changed the tactics and they went forward with him. Typical, the Johnson team, they regularly do that. They run them consecutively throughout the week at the glorious Goodwood meeting. And it was a change of tactics too much. I think the run behind Omni Man is stronger form than Tenability, although he's got a massive upside.
Okay, yes, that Omni Man form comes that red hot race at Royal Ascot as well. So Madawi for Jason. I'm guessing then, Frankie, you're taking Jason's Haggis groupie hat here.
I am, yeah. He would be the good thing of the card for me, mostly from Tom Marquand's comments when he got off him. And you can never quantify how good a horse may be, but you can get an impression of what a jockey's felt. And he seemed fairly positive about Tenability. So I think he would be the shorty that I'd be happy, or I wouldn't be happy to take on. If I was trying to... Actually, no, I'm not playing devil's advocate. I just think he's an interesting challenger.
He might bolt up, mightn't he? He might just be like the group horse. We see in a handicap.
Yeah, I hope so. And just a long way clear of everything else. I'm not getting behind Princesses, but I do think he's fascinating, given he ran in 2 Betfred Derby trials, and then he had the snip. And unlike Jason's previous shout, Dramatic Star, it went the other way for him. He finished last, 19 lengths beaten at Haydock. But sometimes it does take a run after a gelding up to get back into the swing of things. And they must have thought at some stage he had some quality now. He was being chanced in decent races, usually races in the Valmont Silks. Maybe that sort of mentally switches you on to thinking he's better than he is when you look at the card. But he's interesting anyway in a race like this. But for me, I think that the Haggis tenability is a good thing.
Okay, right, let's move on to the final race of Shergar Cup Day. I'm going to start with Jace because he kind of teased it a little earlier. He's a big fan this afternoon of Hugh Bowman, who used to team up with Jack Shannon, and they've got one teaming up in the Lucky Last.
And you remember that he rode a boatload of winners for Mick Shannon, didn't he, as well? That sort of combination were formidable together. So it's great that it's come full circle. Urban Lion, his form is absolutely rock solid, whether it's up the hill at Sandown or whether it's here in the Hunt Cup. I think he's absolutely rock solid. Didn't quite get a clear cut at it last time. Some people will latch on to Arisaig, obviously, who flew from the back of the pack behind Frankie's Cliff Horse, who came up with the goods and zipped in. Classic up the hill at Sandown. But she has been posted out in stall number 10, Urban Lion, on the round mile. Of course, he's going to be down on the inside on the paint. And Bowman, thank you very much. Silver saddle, big wave to the crowd, and get down front and centre at the stage. For Robbie Dolan to sing. Yeah.
Robbie Dolan said he'd get on stage and sing with Perry, who's performing after racing, if he managed to win.
Brilliant. I must say that was quite important. I see it is on the round mile, this one, Frankie.
Yeah, I think I'm back in the Hugh Bowman groupie fan club here for reasons Jace has mentioned, and I think you'll get quite a good battle, hopefully, between Ebsgard and Urban Lion, who were 4th and 5th in the Royal Hunt Cup, and maybe it might just be Hugh Bowman's toughness that edges it out in the closing stages. They're obviously progressive horses. Ebsgard finished 2nd to Ross Collin at Goodwood, which is very good form in its own right, as well as he's obviously a Goodwood specialist and targets that race. But Urban Lion hasn't been seen since. There might actually be a touch more upside to him. And as Jace has rightly pointed out, Hugh Bowman riding plenty of winners for the challenge and is a very, very good jockey who is very, very tough. And I think that might just play its part in the closing stages.
Fantastic. Right. Well, you've agreed there. I've spent most of the show feeling like a third wheel. Newmarket is probably the third wheel in front of the ITV cameras as well. Obviously, the Sweet Solera is their big race in front of the ITV cameras. 6 juveniles. I'll start with you here, Frankie. 6 juveniles to go at. 3 of them unbeaten.
Yeah, I'm just shifting across to go and find it. It's a decent race, isn't it? I'm a bit boring here as well, to be honest, in that Billy Locknam retains the ride on Dance to the Music because Will Buick's over in Saratoga this weekend. And I thought she won fairly nicely on debut. And it's the same old, isn't it? The Godolphin Blue on the July course. These youngsters coming through and they just seem to be at home here in Newmarket. So her victory first time out was promising enough for me, and I think it works out well that Billy's ended up retaining the ride because of Buick's absence and can probably go in again. I know it's a bit boring, but boring often works on the July course with the boys in blue.
And of course, on that note, I'll row in as well, because it's not very often you get one at the top of the market in a field like this. Fillies this time of year can often change, but she's 6 to 4, and I think it's around about 4, 5 to 1 the remainder of the field. So they put her in incredibly tight, and it's a massive amount of potential. Billy got his first ride for the Godolphin team, not because Charlie Appleby liked him or Sheikh Mohammed said get him, because Charlie's kid said, "Who's this Billy the Kid who's riding at the moment? We quite like the name. Why is he not riding for us?" Sure enough, he rode for them. He's never looked back. He's got a ridiculous strike rate as well. So, yeah, Billy the Kid.
Yeah, he's off with her to becoming the GOAT, isn't he? Right, let's have a look at the Curragh then, because we've got Group 1 action over there. I tell you what I should have asked you to do, boys. The 2:15 at the Curragh, the 30 runner 6 furlong maiden. When was the last time we had a 30 runner 6 furlong maiden on these shores? Good luck picking the bones out of that one, gents. No, it is the Group 1 Phoenix Stakes. Aidan got half of the sextet. Interesting, you've got 2 Royal Ascot winners taking each other on as well, a colt and a filly, Jace.
I quite like the angle in that they've thrown in the filly. Is that though something that it's come to over in Ireland, that they, to make it a race, if you like, that Aidan is having to throw a couple in there, True Love. Now, remember, the Coolmore operation needs a stallion and a half to make the whole operation tick year in, year out. So that's why with the fillies, it's probably not as important that they retain their unbeaten record and they're going to be out there and they're going to be racing. They've got a job later on in the paddocks anyway. Great that he throws her in. I don't think that she's got any chance whatsoever of turning over starred in here. I think that when the taps are turned on, the boys will come to the top. Although she's getting the sex allowance of £3, he's home and hosed, isn't he?
Going for the Coventry form over the Albany form, Frankie. The Queen Mary form, sorry, Frankie.
I think so, yeah. Don't think £3 is enough to stop Stard. You'd be hoping for a very nice performance from him. And at least, I mean, we're saying this as if the race is already ran, but True Love will certainly make him have to work harder, which will be good to see just where his sort of ceiling is, or maybe he'll get close to running to his ceiling. So I think it's good that it's not a complete gimme, and there is 2 very, very class horses in here, or a couple of class horses, but we'll actually get a bit of a race on. And yeah, I expect a good performance from Stard, a proper performance, really.
Right, such the professionalism of my panel here and these boys. I asked them to cover the ITV Racing, and as we always do, and the Group 1 at the Curragh, but they always go that little step further. And Jason, I know you like another one on the card at the Curragh.
Yeah, listen, in the sprint division, I was really disappointed that Bucanero Fuerte didn't take his opportunity over at the Royal Meeting. I think he had a temperature or something. That was the reason that they pulled him out. They've given him a little bit of time. He comes back. David Egan over there to ride him. Like, we got Art Power, Big Gossy. We know all about them. Spy Catcher. For me, he's the one in the sprint division at the moment because they're all on top of each other. He's still got a little bit of upside to him. He's only a 4-year-old. He's been in rocket company from the get-go. I think he's the one the sprint division has been waiting for. I think he's a good thing.
And just keep with the theme of the show, because you've agreed on a lot. I know, Frankie, you're a big fan of Bucanero Fuerte as well, aren't you?
I am, but just, so you don't feel left out, Matt, like me and Jason just running through the card together. I'd probably give a squeak to Babouche as well, who didn't fire at all at the Royal Meeting, but has very good form over in Ireland. Probably slightly better as a 2-year-old than a 3-year-old, but unbeaten at the Curragh, and yeah, does have some great form. Has beaten the likes of Camille Pissarro and Whistle Jacket a couple of times. So yeah, I'd throw in Babouche.
Cool. Right, best bet times. Best not agree here. Right, Jason. We've actually covered 11 races, a couple more than we expected, which is brilliant for the punters, trying to get a few winners this weekend. What would be the strongest of your selections?
I think that Dramatic Star, I like that angle in, that you're a possibility to sneak in the bottom of the weights for the Ebor. We know that it's a race that Haggis would love to get on the board again with all his other victories. I think that'd probably be the one. And I mentioned, didn't I? Got no idea prices wise. Hugh Bowman to lift the silver saddle at that meeting. I just looked at the cards and I thought, yeah, he's got great rides. Even I think in the sprint, More Lamb, who he rides for Trotter Nichols, is a filly that could run into a place, giving him on board again. So he's just going to be picking up points left, right, and centre.
Okay, a couple then. Silver Saddle, like a Silver Saddle tip as well. Hugh Bowman. Frankie?
My nap will get Jason over the line with his Silver Saddle tip. Urban Lion, Hugh Bowman on board in the last at Ascot.
And of course, we know what happens this weekend, boys. Those are the naps today, aren't they, right? So we've been down for the collection, right? If it's not just, if you want to try and get, where is that? The bonus, that's the one you want, right? Because the clever men think that they can take out the games that are going to score. I quite like all 7 at 50 to 1. I love having a little couple of goes at that. So we'll be getting stuck into the goals this weekend, that is for sure.
Fantastic. Yes, goals galore. When both teams score, it's goals galore. No, Jason, a big fan of that. And if you see him cheering on Sky halfway through a race, it's not because he's back to win it. It's because one of his teams is at the back of the net and his goals galore has landed. Yes, it is back for the football season. Right, brilliant, boys. I love this show. 11 races and a plug for Goals Galore as well. What more could you possibly ask for? Don't forget, like, subscribe, and of course, we'll let you know whenever there's a new episode available of the Punter's Guide. Right, are you two wearing the same thing at Ascot as well tomorrow? Are you coordinating there?
You have to wait and see, Matt.
I think it's going to be warm, isn't it? I think it is going to be warm. I'll tell you one thing. I took a football there yesterday for the boys to have a little go at keepy uppies, and they were horrific. Horrific. Oh my God, they were terrible. And even allowing for them having a pair of shoes on, it was pretty bad.
Brilliant. Right, best of luck wherever you're back in this weekend. Then we'll be back next week to look at next weekend's racing. But of course, wherever you're back in, the best of luck.